Yes, we are pre-podding here in Burbank, California with Stephen Brody Stevens and the Festival of Friendship. Yes, all things comedy happening now, today. I'm back. You wanted it. You got it. Every Wednesday, I do the podcast. I show up. I make that commitment because that's what people wanted from me, and that's what they get. You put it down on a calendar. You put structure in your life. People expect it. They want the podcast. They set their alarms by it. It's growing each and every week. We have new guests, new formats, and I'm just being Brody on this pre-pod right now. I'm just being Stephen Brody Stevens on a pre-pod, which is being recorded. And we're live on YouTube. Is that correct?
Yep.
We are live on YouTube. We're not live on Periscope. We used to be, but it seems like YouTube is the way to go. And when it's live on YouTube, does it stay on YouTube after? Yes, it does. So it is staying up on YouTube after. So if you're not seeing it live, you can always go back and check later. And you're talking to a guy right now who was at the Comedy Store last night, who did a show, who did 25 minutes in the main room closing out a third-party event with Jim Jeffries, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn. I followed Steve O. Stephen Brody Stevens followed Steve O. You're following somebody with a similar name. That's an extra challenge. And it was nearly 1 a.m. when I went on, and I took that crowd for a ride. I gave them positivity. Silliness. That's what I do. That's 2019's comedy goal, is for me to be silly. So many comedians are up on stage, political, angry. They've got an angle. My angle is for laughter. My angle is having fun, as long as I am balanced. Am I back on taking a medication? Yes. Yes, I am. I needed the edge to be taken off. And a lot of people say, well, Brody, smoke pot. And I'm not anti-pot. In fact, we have pot sponsorship. I would say a lot of people here in California and all over the country smoke pot. Use it as an edible. Use it as a tincture. Use it as an oil. But for me, when I went med-free, pharmaceutical-free, the pot hit me hard. And it brought on some paranoia. That's not to say that I'm anti-pot. That's more of, okay, how am I reacting to it? Now, they say, from what I hear, and we can talk about this later, if you're in a good mood, pot will put you in a better mood. If you're depressed, it could bring out depression. I could be wrong. I could be right. We can discuss that. I'm letting you know that I took a break from it. Also because I think it was affecting my stand-up. Going up high, maybe not connecting with the audience like I should. But again, we are sponsored by pot. I believe in pot. I'm just saying, me personally, I had to chill a little bit. And that's my own issue. So yes, I'm back on Lexapro. I've been on it since I began doing comedy, and we can get into this later. It's a pre-pod right now. It's a pre-pod, and we have guests today. We have Eric here today producing, who's doing a great job. I've Venmo'd him before. We have Gino back here today from Speedweed, and he can talk about the benefits of pot. He'll come on later. We have another guy who knows about music, knows about the benefits of pot, knows about cooking, knows about the roast battle. He's actually competed in the roast battle, and we can get that angle. We have another comedian who's not been on the show before. He's on another show, and he travels around the country, and we're going to get to know him. And you're listening to me, Stephen Brody Stevens, very calm, very cool, very collected on the pre-pod. And now entering the podcast arena. I'm sure he's been on other podcasts before.
Oh, yeah.
He is familiar with podcasts.
Yeah, I've done a few.
He has done a few. He is a legend at the Comedy Store. You know, people talk about how the Comedy Store is the greatest thing in the world right now. And it may be. But I would say 5-6 years ago, there wasn't that buzz necessarily. This guy could speak to that. He could say, you know what? I remember when it wasn't that buzz. And it's guys like him who kept the Comedy Store afloat. Guys like me. I'll even say guys like Eric. Because, oh yeah, it's sold out every night. Every room. The greatest thing ever. Dave Chappelle's doing specials here. Stephen Brody Stevens doing his special here. But there was a time when that main room was empty.
Empty. We'd move the chairs and professional wrestle in the middle of the room.
Now that room is filled pretty much every night.
Every night it's packed.
We would hang out in the green room in the back of the main room.
Yeah, all the time. It used to be, you know, friends would be in from out of town and they'd call me. I got 10 people with me. Can you get me in?
No problem.
No problem. Now it's like, hey, dude, nothing I can do for you. I can't even walk you in the back. It's
Can't
stacked
do
up.
it. Ladies and gentlemen, the voice you're hearing right now, we all know him as Pete Corcione. How do you say your last name?
Cornacchione.
Cornacchione. I'm going to say it's Italian.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Pete is a guy who has been, like I said, at the Comedy Store, who could speak to how it was, again, before this recent unprecedented popularity.
Yeah, I've been there 10 or 11 years.
That long?
Yeah.
Wow. 10 or 11 years.
Still just hanging out.
And you were one of the, you're a guy who was a mainstay. You were there.
Yeah,
You'd stay all night.
Yeah, I had a drinking problem.
You were drinking.
Yeah.
But you know what? So other people were drinking
Yeah,
also.
it's a lot of fun.
You were drinking. You definitely brought a party vibe.
Right.
Good laughs.
Always have a lot of joints.
Always had a lot of joints. You would hang out in the back. We'd hang out in the main room. We'd hang out. You were a guy there who was, like I said, one of those guys who kept it going.
Yeah, I was lucky when I first came to town. I met Ingram and Renazizi and those guys, and they kind of took a liking to me. So I was lucky to get to hang out, you know, because a lot of people get turned away, or, you know, shit on, whatever.
Right. Now, you came out here from Ohio.
Right.
Back 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And when you were in Ohio, I know this, you were at a music venue.
Yeah, Nelson Ledges, Corey Park.
And that plays a lot of, that was my notification on my phone. I got a Facebook
I don't have
message.
service in here. I can't even.
Got a Facebook message. Somebody wants me to do a voiceover for an animation project.
Yeah, so I was in Ohio.
What did you just pass off to Eric?
I'm gonna go set up his Wi-Fi for him.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What, you're gonna set up his Wi-Fi?
You need to cut my thumb off so you can get into my phone, or?
Now, we have rolled into the podcast. Now we're bringing the next guest in?
Let's do it.
I'm just getting started with Pete. Eric.
Don't be flipping through my shit, Eric.
I mean,
Stealing
Eric,
my
can I say
contacts.
something to you? Can I say something, Eric? And this is no knock on Rodrigo at all. I was just getting loose with Pete.
I get that.
So why did you bring in the next guest right away?
I didn't bring him. I let him. I got let 5 minutes.
Why did you do it?
Well, because I let 5 minutes go by. I bring in the first guest at 5 minutes. He's at 10 minutes, and then I
Can't
go.
you
Were
like?
you not watching?
Were you not paying attention?
You saw we were about to you have a
I'm trying to find
conversation.
out where Pete
No
is from.
disrespect.
How do I set up your
again,
Wi-Fi? I'll set it up for you. I was trying to take care
Now
of the
he wants my
guests, and then on
password.
top of it,
but you
I apologize, gentlemen.
No, see, now you put Rodrigo in a bad spot.
He's a good guy.
Rodrigo.
A good
And you
bad
knocked
spot.
over the
Rocking
water,
waters,
Eric.
Come on.
Or a bad good spot.
Eric.
Good bad spot.
Why did you? What went through your head there?
Answer the question, Eric.
A lot of things that probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, couldn't you see that I was just getting comfortable with Pete?
I think he's high on the pot.
I definitely am high on the pot.
Okay, but Eric, I'm letting you
No
produce.
diss on the
I'm
pod.
letting you. I'm handing over the reins to you, trusting your instincts, and you.
I dropped the ball.
Is he dropping the ball, Brody?
Yes, that was a ball drop.
Yeah.
because
and not
I was.
on New Year's Eve. It
I was just saying to myself, I'm comfortable. I'm enjoying where this is going with Pete. We're going to get to know Pete, and then I would bring out, and then all of a sudden, now you're directing. Are you producing or are you directing or both?
I mean, I just pointed in Rodrigo to tell him to come on in because.
But
gotta
why?
Get because I timed it. I time it out.
It doesn't. Everything doesn't have to be by time. Things are organic. Yes, there's time, but sometimes you got to like let it go a bit over, let it breathe. I mean, come on.
All right, I'm gonna take a timeout and go get Pete's password set up. I apologize for.
But Eric, every show this is happening.
Answer the question, Eric.
I mean, what went through your head? Is it because you're high? Is that your excuse?
I was high, and then on top of it, I was going to set up his password, and I didn't want too much time to go because it's a long. Their ATC's long password.
These are excuses. Pete, what do you have? What would you
Well, I
have
mean,
to
I think he could just write it down and bring it to me. Why's he got to take my phone?
Because it's a long thing. It's like
I don't
something.
think he
But
can
you
write
just
on
picked
it.
up his phone, right? Isn't that
I
weird?
know,
when
I
you
thought
take
he was.
somebody's
I thought he
phone?
was
Handed it to
confiscated.
him.
I thought I was in trouble.
He handed it to me.
Like, I was a no phone zone. I thought I was,
No, I just went to go. I was going to go do it for him because it is a long. It's like a 6-word.
Have you seen my last name, dude? I can handle long.
Could you pronounce that again? Your last name, dude?
I'm going to go take care of this real quick.
Cornacion?
Kion.
So Pete, let me ask you:
Corniacho?
Did you feel like we were just kind of getting loosened up? I mean,
Yeah, I'm on board with you, bro.
It's unbelievable. Now
out of
Rodrigo's
line.
put in a difficult position.
Right.
A little awkward little spot here. A little intro.
It's like I was at Jimmy Kimmel Live yesterday, and they had two guests. They had Charles Barkley. They had
damn.
Ray Romano.
Hey,
they
Ray.
you got it. So they had Ray Romano did his he did like 2 segments.
Okay.
And then they brought out Barkley and did its 2 segments. And they also did a segment earlier together. But it's like Eric has got to be able to read the room.
It's like guest ambush, huh, Brody?
Would you say so?
Yeah. It was a bit informal.
Yeah.
Crash the party type.
It was it's like I'm trusting this guy. I'm giving it's like
A chance,
I'm giving him a
opportunity.
chance. I mean, he's doing a good job with booking, even though we had a cancellation today, but whatever, that happens. I'm glad you're here. Glad you guys
B-minus,
are here.
huh? For today.
People cancel. I
Shit
get
happens.
that. But, there's no cue cards today. I don't know anything about anybody.
Were you going
which
cold
it-
off the laptop in the beginning, or what?
Well, I was just reading the news there a little bit, but but that's what this is. We're learning about people. I was going to learn about Pete.
Festival.
But we have Rodrigo here, and we're going to get
Let's
back
learn
to
about
Pete.
him.
But you're from Ohio originally. I know a lot of people from Ohio, a lot of Italians. I'm from Riverside, California, which is about 50 minutes east of here.
Riverside, California.
Yeah, born and raised.
That was the city where I played my first Division I baseball game.
UCR?
It was the UCR Spring Baseball Tournament.
Thanks, Eric.
It was 1989, Arizona State University. We were playing in, I don't know, it was probably like March. Eric, you just bumped the mic. What's with you? This is my podcast. I take it seriously. Not saying you don't, but you got the Dr. Pepper. You're smoking pot in the car, and I understand that you work hard, and I see the photos at your job at Funny You Should Ask. You do great there.
But today, right now.
Today,
I've had a rough start to today, so I guess
What
it's just it's cascading.
I don't know if
Snowballing?
you heard, but his
What up,
spare
Pete?
tire is flat.
Like I had a
that
tire.
sucks,
I had
dude.
a tire. Okay, I was in the rain the other
That
day,
fucking
and this
sucks.
rock hit my tire and exploded my tire. Like I hit the rock. Obviously, the rock didn't hit my tire.
So
But
now you're on the spare only.
I was on the spare.
You're acting like
and
you hit the
last
rock.
night, I'm driving home, and I was like, "What's that sound?" I get home, and I'm like, I didn't realize that my tire was flat. And so I
Damn.
woke up this morning, and I started to drive, and my tire, it's like, I looked, and my spare's flat. So like both tires.
how are you going to get it fixed?
I've got a warranty on my tires with Costco.
Oh, right on.
but you don't have a Costco membership.
I
so
do.
You're screwed.
Well, I use my mom's membership.
At least you're being honest.
Yeah.
But that doesn't take away from the fact that
Little scattered today.
yeah, but Eric, I've seen you do this in the Comedy Store sometimes. I'll be performing, and how many times have I told you like you'll raise your hand or you want to interject something, and sometimes you just do it. Your timing's off. It's like you're a beat too soon.
Yeah. Too eager.
Yeah, that's what happened here. So at what point are we gonna like say, hey,
Less eager.
yeah,
Enough.
yeah? When is
Maybe
that?
maybe I need to quit smoking marijuana.
I know, but when is that gonna? When
Thought it was a tire.
It's a tire. It's marijuana. It's
I mean, mistakes are one. I get it, mistakes, but this is kind of like, we'll get through it, but it's, I would say, not a good mistake.
unacceptable.
Brody, you have no team.
It seems that way. It seems that way, Rodrigo.
Killing me. So you in '89, you went to to UCR for
Right? Yeah,
tournament?
Arizona State. It was my the first time I made a road trip on the airplane with the team because we traveled. So we actually flew from Phoenix to Phoenix to like a short plane flight. We could have drove,
45
I guess,
minutes, right?
to like Ontario. So, but because it was a tournament, they brought extra pitchers. So I made the trip. I was able to get on the roster. And I made the trip the week before. We went down to Tucson. See, whenever guys would get suspended, I would fill in kind of thing. I was like on the bubble of like being on the roster, but never getting into the game.
okay.
So then we went to the UCR tournament, and they had to bring somebody got suspended, but we also, because we're going to play multiple games, that gave me an advantage of okay, let's bring Brody along for the trip. So made the trip. They put us up with families. I don't know if I told this story before. They put us up with families. So I stayed with Anthony Manahan, our shortstop, and they put us up with this family, and they had a dog. Dog's name was Bubba. And some Jehovah Witnesses in the afternoon knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and Bubba ran out, and we couldn't find him, and he took off.
You think you converted?
Well, they gave him some literature.
He saw the light.
So Bubba took off, and the van was going to pick us up like at 3 o'clock or to go to the stadium to go to the game. It's like we lost the dog. This dog was lost. So
What'd you guys do, dude?
well, we contacted the family, and I said, "There's nothing we can do. The dog's gone." And we went to the game,
Fucked up.
and we were playing Harvard. Believe it or not, Arizona State, Harvard.
How were they? Were they good? Because you guys were good, right?
We were good. They were not very good.
Okay.
So I got to the game, and the family was there, and they found the dog. And the dog was stuck in the soccer net in the backyard. So the dog went around and got stuck in the soccer net. But they found the dog, Bubba. And then we played the game, so I was relieved that the dog was fine. And then we were beating the team Harvard 18-0 or something like that.
You get up on the mound.
And then I got into the game the last 3 innings. It was 2 or 3 innings, and I pitched like 2 innings. I had 5 strikeouts. I gave up a home run. I did give up a home run, but I struck out like 5 guys, and I remember. But they brought me in. It was like 18-0, so I got to play in the game against Harvard of all schools, the first Division I. And you'd think like in Hollywood or every writer is from Harvard.
Right. All the Simpsons guys, they did the Harvard Lampoon
Lampoon,
guys.
Yeah, exactly.
All that shit.
So I
Conan
just,
O'Brien shit.
So it's just kind of ironic that the first game I ever played against was Harvard. And just to let you know, the family that we were staying with, they had a kid, a little leaguer, and that little leaguer kid went on to play in the major leagues.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I
Did
thought
you
you were gonna
influence him
say-
a
Who
little
was
bit?
it?
Or do you guys stay there?
Adam Kennedy.
Oh, wow.
He's
He was
from
a good
Riverside.
major
He's
leaguer.
from North. I had a friend that went to school with him. Super cool dude.
Yeah, played with the Angels, won the World Series with the Angels, 2002.
Yeah, dude.
Hit
He was
3
pretty
home
well
runs.
known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
played like
fuck yeah, dude.
He was
That's
good.
who you stayed with? That's a trip, dude.
yeah. He was.
My friend Janet Dockett was a good friend of him. They just switched high school. She went to Norte Vista. I'm thinking North or forgot what school he went to. But yeah, total Riversider, dude. That's badass.
Yeah. So that little kid. And
Yeah, because I was like, what year did you say that was, that tournament?
That was 1989.
89, 80. I was 11. Dude.
You were
So,
11?
Yeah.
Okay,
Dude. And he's
so-
younger than me. So yeah, dude. Fucking A, dude.
That was my first experience with going to Riverside.
So you're fuck yeah, Riverside. You guys are right. Festival of Friendship with Brody Stevens, right? You know a little
You
bit
got
about me. It's funny because you guys were talking about. I never met Pete. I seen him a couple times. You were always. I mean, I've been seeing you. I mean, I've been doing comedy for 17 years. We used to go back in the day with like Felipe in 2001, 2002. We would see you, see Coco. I mean, even like those dude. I mean, there was another dude that. Because they came up from Seattle with you guys as well. Gavin, right?
Gavin Boyd.
Yeah, he used to be like, say he was a producer at El Compadre wearing flip flops and
Yeah.
grabbing chicks and all that shit.
So you knew Gavin?
Yeah, dude. Like, I was just like, because my little nickname was like Silent Bob, so I was there to the side, like not really saying shit.
Right.
Yeah, since those days, and we would see you around, and I knew you were a baseball player or whatever. And we would like say hi, but it wasn't until the All Things Comedy Studios where I finally met the legendary Brody Stevens.
Enjoy it.
But I've met you a couple times, Pete, but I've never like met you. But
right.
same thing with Eric, dude. Like the last couple of weeks here. But I just wanted to, it's about getting to know people, and we know ourselves kind of in a little kind of informal basis, whatever we see on social media,
Yeah.
and throughout the history of stand-up here in Los Angeles, because guys were mentioning the dark ages of the Comedy Store, and that's what a lot of people don't talk about right now. They do a little bit. You guys are bringing it up. That's fucking fantastic, because right now it's like the whole Renaissance. It's all sold out. But I mean, those were the players, because I've done like 7 spots there, and it was all because of this comic that used to be there back in those days too, was Rick Ramos.
Yep.
Whenever he
remember
was
Rick.
up there hosted, he would throw me up. But that's it. I never really went back, and those were the only interactions I had. But I mean, you guys are like, from the old school. I mean, you were killing me right now when you were talking about, I was back there in those days, fucking hanging out. Now there's 2 hanging out.
Yeah.
I was fucking dying. But you used to go up like late and shit. You'd fuck around with the drums.
Yep.
Also those Don Barris nights. When it was like, dude, like not even like, 7 people. dog.
Nobody
But still
sometimes.
little drinks clinking, and a lot of comics or
It's
people
still like
hanging out.
that some nights.
I mean, back in the day when like Skippy was there and shit. He's the
Yeah.
first one, because I ended up fucking, starting to open my mouth when I did like a fucking a Joey Diaz impression.
Right.
And I was just doing it to the side, and fucking one day it's all, guess what I heard? And fucking over here, fucking Silent Bob doing my name. Skippy told me and shit, whatever, and the rest
That's
is history.
Joey.
And so yeah, dude. So that's how I came up, or like how I'm around amongst you guys now. But you were a baseball player. Did you ever pitch full time with the fucking?
Yeah, I mean, I started.
The
I
Sun Devils or what?
mean, I pitched like in my
Okay.
career, I think about 28 innings,
Oh, right
35 strikeouts,
And,
11 walks.
That year when
About.
About.
when you went to Riverside, you were what were you, sophomore, junior?
I was a freshman that year.
Oh, really, dude? So you got
I
up early
traveled.
then.
We're
Oh,
supposed
fuck
to be
yeah.
we're supposed to be learning about you guys.
Okay,
though. You
but
keep
no, bring it
asking
back.
Why
questions
not,
about Brody.
Eric?
Because
You
I
keep
want
asking
to
about-
no, I want to
Because
know
we-
that shit. 'cause
They know your fans know.
They
you.
don't know that.
These are
Why can't they be excited about Rodrigo being
I'm
excited
exci-
about the Festival of Friendship?
I'm
Yeah,
excited about I'm excited about Rodrigo being excited about asking you the questions, but I'm also excited to learn more about Rodrigo
right,
and
and-
Pete.
and
Well,
we'll
we're going to
get
get
to
to that, but you killed the flow early
And,
on.
I kind of like
Twice.
segued into like him getting off you right now too, because he was grilling you and shit. I thought let's
Yeah,
put
he
it
was
this way.
protecting.
That's part of the
And then
podcast.
this fool
That's,
came
that's
out
part of the
and then-
podcast.
But
Him
no,
getting
it's all
on me
good,
is
dude. But that was fucking up. But no, I was like, because he's so into pro baseball, like for real. Because when the Dodgers were winning, you said they're not really your team or whatever, but you were saying you're happy for them and they're playing good ball.
Yeah.
It's a good season.
I
We were
support
talking
LA.
about Houston when they were up and next with them. And the thing that happens in LA is a lot of people are Dodger fans, but there's also they're Dodger fans when they're winning, and especially the bandwagon people that don't really know the fucking sport facts. And behind the
Brody's
things.
a fan of the
coming up.
Dodgers when they come and watch him do stand up.
Well, they used to, yeah. We used to have the Dodgers come in there.
Yeah, dude. But that's what I wanted to know.
There you go, Rodrigo making a splash.
I like his splash. It was a beautiful splash.
Yeah, dude. So
So
what's up?
now Pete came there to the
Oh,
comedy.
Pete.
Peter came 11 years ago. What brought you out to LA? Like, why did you and how did you end up at the Comedy Store?
Yeah.
Well, I came out to get in the weed business.
Really,
'Cause,
dude.
yeah, where I was at was not cool.
Right, not legal, probably.
Right, so I came
Shitty
out.
weed.
Well, I had good
Kinda,
weed when I
sorta.
was there. Then
Okay.
I left. But yeah, I came out here for that, and then sad story. My business partner killed himself,
Damn.
and I was bumming. So I came to the Comedy Store for some laughs.
Wait, your business partner killed himself out here or
Yeah,
out?
here. Like 2 months after I moved here.
Did we know him? Did he ever come by
No.
the Comedy Store?
No, he's never there with me.
Wow.
I came to the store after because I was here. I was living by myself. I didn't know anybody. He was the only person I knew in town at all. And so I came to the Comedy Store to have a good time, have some laughs, and then I met Ingram and Renazizi like that day. And the rest is history.
So I thought you were friends with Tony and Red Band because they're from Ohio. So I
No,
thought
no.
you knew them out there.
No, I met Tony when I first came to the store, and I didn't meet Red Band until a couple years later because he wasn't at the store at that time.
Right. He was
He was still on hiatus.
and he was doing all that stuff with Joe Rogan.
Right.
So can I ask? So I did not know that about your business partner.
Yeah.
What? How did that come about? Was it a surprise? Was it?
Oh, yeah, I was hanging out. I
Most
mean,
suicides are.
No, but was he down and depressed?
no, he seemed
Like,
cool.
you didn't see it coming?
I mean, I don't want to get into it too much. He just had some legal issues and didn't want to deal with it. And after the fact, we found out he had cancer, but it wasn't that bad. He would have got through it, but
So he had some
know.
legal problems. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
yeah,
So you came to the Comedy Store looking for laughs,
right,
and you found them,
right,
and you found a family there.
right. Like all the friends I have now in LA are all from the store. I mean, the reason I'm still here is because of all my friends in the store. You guys,
That's cool, dude.
And you would make the trek from. I mean, you lived out in the valley. You still do.
yeah,
You would make that trek every night.
yeah,
And you would be at the store, and you were, like I said, like you were a constant. You were like, okay, there's Pete, there's the party, there's the laugh, there's, a joke or have it. And that's the other thing. You actually, you're good on Twitter. You'd write, you still, I don't know, you're not as active on there as you once were.
right.
He's good
But
at
who
roasting
is?
people that aren't supposed to be where they're not supposed to be.
But you're always like a great joke writer, and then you did the roast battle when that started. You early on, you were
Right.
doing the roast battle. How many times have you done that?
Like 15, 16
You've done
times.
15 roast battles.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
My favorite
Hell
one was
yeah,
Kim
dude.
Congdon, that joke about the beer cans or the beer.
yeah. That was fun.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, it's fun. She was undefeated too.
And what'd you say? How'd you
I
kill it?
said it was something like, because she sold T-shirts with her tits on them. And I said, for $30 you can get a T-shirt with Kim's tits on them, and for 2 BPRs you can get them in your mouth. Something like that.
Slam.
That's a great joke.
So
Slam.
doing those roast battles, was that something?
Actually, if Hormoz is coming, I think you said Hormoz is coming. Him and I battled one time. It was really good.
You just kind of
We'll wait for
you
them
just
to
took
talk
our
about
surprise guest out of the surprise.
Bam, bam, ba-na.
So go ahead and.
We have Hormoz Rashidi on as our surprise guest today. He's going to be
So
coming on later.
that was a surprise.
Yeah, but that's okay. You did surprise him. Everyone's surprised now. Like in the podcast, they're like, "Oh, we're surprised, Hormoz."
How do you know that?
I'm surprised.
But
Brody
why
did.
didn't you ahead of time say to Brody, say, it's a surprise guest?
I did tell you that.
I don't think you did.
I put it in the tweet. I put it in the text. I said, 2 guests, pop in. I pop in guest.
Pop it. Not a
Pop.
surprise.
Oh, I did say pop in. I was trying to think of how I worded.
So I didn't ruin anything.
No,
I'm good.
No,
Is
you
it
didn't
clear?
do it. No, you didn't ruin anything. I said it's a
Sweet.
surprise guest because I put it on Twitter. That's where I put it on. I said I put on the Twitter with your tagged in it. It says surprise guest on both.
And you've been doing a good job on Twitter. I want to say thank you.
Oh, you have been too.
I have been.
Yeah, and you've been when you tweeted out the night before. I like that.
I like that. Look at this guy.
It was one-
Well, it helps. It helps when it's your actual Twitter handle being used. You're going to get a lot more interactions than it is with me.
And we're getting more on YouTube. We're up, to 100 subscribers?
We should be at 100 today. Yeah,
Is that's something to feel good about?
a good positive step.
And what about downloads on the actual podcast?
I have not found that out yet because I haven't talked to Rachel. Rachel does all that. Rachel knows that stuff.
She knows that?
Yes.
And why haven't you talked? I'm just
I
asking.
haven't run into her. I don't want to just call her. I'm just going to wait till I run into her here and then talk to her about it.
Okay.
He doesn't
Natural.
have her number.
All right. I mean, I'm
I
Eric,
could talk to Brenton about it.
I mean, would you say that I'm giving you opportunity here?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
And now you're getting to produce other podcasts?
Yes, I'm going to be helping with Kurt Metzger's new podcast here at All Things Comedy.
And that wouldn't have happened maybe if I didn't.
No, it wouldn't have happened if you didn't give me the opportunity.
Okay. So, I mean, thank you. And you're doing a good job.
No, and you're doing great with the podcast. So
Okay. There you go. Rodrigo, are you happy with that?
That was a sufficient.
was that a
answer.
hug?
So
Yeah, man.
So let me ask Pete. Not that we needed a hug. Let me ask me, do you miss the old days of like when it was less crowded, when we could like hang out in the main room and not be bugged?
Well, I think I do miss the hangs, because like we come up with a lot of funny stuff and had a lot of good times when it wasn't so busy that everyone had to be doing spots all the time, or all the rooms were full, or people were busy, kiss-assing or doing whatever,
Because that's when a lot of those shows came about. Like roast battles started because they weren't getting
Outside.
spots.
Comedians
Started as an
hanging
open
out.
mic.
Yeah, and they just went upstairs. And then stuff with like Jeff Ross messing around, like coming on stage, messing around with all the different comedians. That's
Bumping mics. now.
bumping mics, like all that, like messing around.
Was it a little
Historic. You have the
Genesis
historical roast now.
hanging
That's
out?
going to be on Netflix or
Yeah.
one of those. So a lot of the stuff's coming.
It was
out.
cool for me too because one of the battles I had, a lot of cool people were there, but one night I had to roast Chappelle.
You did?
Oh damn.
As like the
What?
sudden death overtime thing, and so that was sweet.
You had to
I-
roast Dave Chappelle?
Yeah, it was me and Joe Dosh, and we were tied.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, okay, we're gonna bring someone up on stage to break the tie, and you guys have to roast them. So they brought Chappelle and sat him on a stool in between us.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
And
yeah.
So
I
what
was
did you remember?
I had
what you
nothing good. I had nothing good. But
That
I,
other
but,
fool won,
but,
or
but I
what?
thought of the other guy won, and but I thought of a good one after the fact. But you know how that is, Monday morning quarterback on it.
But Pete, when you moved out to California, did you always want to do comedy in the back of
No,
your mind?
I never thought about it.
Never entered your mind.
No, I mean I always made people laugh just hanging out. If we're at the at the campground, the place I used to work, and I'd always just be funny and cracking jokes or making fun of the other guys that I worked with.
Right.
But I never thought about doing comedy. I still don't think about it.
But you did those roast battles, which I haven't done for it's maybe something I need to get
Been
over.
a while.
I just never. I mean, I live judged them and help out with that. Now, Rodrigo, how did you?
Yes, sir.
You've been into comedy. You've been doing it 17 years.
Yeah, man.
How did you get into comedy?
I got into comedy by doing a talent show at a black fraternity at the school I went to, Cal State San Bernardino, for the Sigma guys. I did that, but I didn't really know how to get into comedy. But I kind of wanted to do it probably since I was like, I would say about 15, 16 years old, thinking about it. Just seeing shit on HBO, seeing those old little videos.
How
roasts,
good
all
you
that
do
shit.
in that show?
I got third place.
Oh wow.
Behind two singers. But it was all right. But what happened at that show is I did my material, and some dude just started talking shit, and I came up with a quick "your mom" thing, and then hit him a couple times, and went back to my material, got off stage.
Right.
So he kind of helped me. Probably is what
It was an
happened.
African American fraternity,
Yeah. Just nothing but brothers and sisters out there.
and so you were like thrown right into it,
Yeah.
and you did well, and you felt like this is what I want to do.
Oh fuck yeah. I've been watching a bunch of shit. Seen specials. Obviously, and any. I was a comedy junkie, but then I went up the next day at a bar in Riverside, and just fucking what I had for 5 minutes turned in like 30 seconds. Fucking foot started going, and yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah, that's the same kind of, but that's the same experience that happened with me.
Yeah, it was really bad, and it's like, but I really wanted to do it again because I knew what I could do that one day.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was trippy. It was trippy. I wouldn't say like I did really, really good. Like it was packed, and it all after what happened with the back and forth with that dude, it was over. And I did a Bernie Mac impression, fucking said a couple more jokes, and got off stage.
Yeah, I did my.
So I knew what I could do. You knew what you could do, right? Is that what it?
Well, I mean, yeah, I did my first. We had our graduating class.
Oh,
I had,
so
a,
you did-
I had a workshop.
Okay.
I did that route.
Which people talk shit about, but I think it's really good to do that if you can.
I needed the structure. I was coming from a sports background. I was just out of college, so I felt like, okay. And I didn't know anybody in the comedy world. I wasn't
Same here, dude.
I didn't know like anything about going up to an open mic. I didn't really understood how that worked. And then I read the LA Weekly, and they had Greg Dean had a comedy workshop, and then they had a UCLA Annex, UCLA Extension.
Oh, cool.
So, and that was taught by the Comedy Store. That was the thing.
Wow.
So I knew, basically, I took the Comedy Store workshop through UCLA, which was back in 1993. and I had my show on
At the Comedy Store? So it all took place within the Comedy Store organization?
Yeah, Sandy's Seashore, Paulie's sister, taught the workshop. She passed away this past year.
So,
Yeah, R.I.P..
we're talking stand up again, and that story you just told,
I've told before.
you've told it about 5 times in the last.
Yeah,
10
but
episodes.
Eric,
Get him, Brody.
Rodrigo hasn't heard it. Rodrigo talked
But
about.
Rodrigo isn't the fans.
But I'm
a
talking
fan.
to Rodrigo.
I'm a fan of Brody.
I get that, but I get that.
But he's going to
I'm a
hear
fan
me
of podcasts,
say,
too.
Eric.
But do you ever watch?
He talked about.
I didn't know this either.
There you go,
Yeah, man.
Eric. So that's another F up. You don't think I knew that people have heard this before? I know they've heard it before.
Listen, I'm just trying to. We talked about stand-up comedy and how we shouldn't talk about.
But
it
we
that
have
much.
stand-ups on the show.
Not well, technically.
We talked about baseball. We talked about you messing up. We've talked about Pete moving out here. Talking
Correct.
about hanging out late night. We're not talking about the mechanics of stand-up with Pete. Rodrigo,
But when it becomes to repetitive content, I have to kind of.
but there's new listeners, and it just happened that Rodrigo talked about the first time he was on stage, he crushed it. The second time, he had a nervous
very
reaction. So I was just explaining that I took a workshop, rehashing it. Yes, maybe
Yeah.
you're right, since you listen to, you're Mr. I listen to every single word. and then I was going to say my experience, and I was going to go into, it's not always the same, but go ahead, shut that off too.
I just if it gets repetitive, the people that are going to be listening to this, they will shut down. People shut down so quick online now.
Why are you worried so much about what the people are thinking?
That's my job to produce the show. Is you got to make sure that their content is coming out correctly.
Content is coming out correct. I've never heard a statement like that before.
Like
He's like
you
a
can't-
network over here. Huh?
Well, if I see something, say something.
But people sometimes like hearing the same things over.
Yeah.
I listen to talk radio. They use the same
Yeah,
sound
yeah.
drops. They use Vic the Brick locally is saying the same thing.
But not the same story.
I've heard. I understand, but Rodrigo's a new guest.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about I give that story to all the guests before
I'm
they
going to
come
tell you
on?
this. This is how I'm going to subscribe to the podcast.
Awesome.
After this, so just to
We're at
solidify
100.
what
He's 100.
what Brody Stevens is saying. So what happened on your second time going up?
It wasn't as fun. Like I was doing the same kind of bits, and they didn't get the reaction. And I knew that was not me personally. I knew that wasn't the route I wanted to go, in terms of like doing those open mics.
So we are doing the story.
I guess so. Yeah.
And you know where that was? That place was up in Chatsworth.
Damn.
YouTube agrees with me on that one though.
Oh, are people commenting on that?
Yeah.
What are they saying?
Eric has a valid point. JRE Joe Rogan does repeat topics
Thank you.
with
I
new guests
repeat
doesn't
stories
know.
all the time.
Eric
right?
isn't wrong. Platitudes, I don't know what that means. See something, say something.
So
Reporting
that's like
crime or
half
what?
and half. I'm not saying I understand what you're saying. I'm not completely disagreeing with you. I'm
I
just
know
saying
that.
specifically Rodrigo brought up a story. He doesn't know my comedy background.
Nah.
And the best part is you made it funny.
Yeah, I've only heard snippets of just through Joe Diaz before I actually met you.
I mean, that's what this is about.
Right.
So maybe they get excited hearing Rodrigo's reaction to my story that they all know. They all know what's coming.
Yeah, because I knew I thought you were from Seattle, and then
I started up there.
Then we talked to you
pretty much.
one day at the old building, and you're all, yeah, but I didn't even know you were from L.A., from the Valley and all that shit. So I was
Born and
like, dude,
raised.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to say that, Eric?
Born and raised from the valley. See, that's a quote and not a.
So you worry too much about you worry too much about the audience. I'm trying to do a podcast that I enjoy.
That's my job
That's
as a
what I'm saying.
producer. If you're going to produce something, you need to worry about the audience.
I don't think so. You
Yes,
have to
you
worry
do.
about the show. So when you do your stand-up, you worry about the audience?
I'm not I'm my own producer in stand up, but I'm
Okay,
saying
so I mean, yeah, what do you do?
I do care about the audience. I want them to
Damn.
enjoy themselves. There's jokes that I don't use on certain audiences because I know that I shouldn't bring those jokes out. Like my darker jokes, I'll use in darker rooms. You produce yourself to the audience. Yes.
What do you think about
I
that?
don't know.
Brody got the fucking.
What do you think about that, Pete?
I don't know. I'm not
Really,
sure
dude?
what to say about that.
Dude,
Rodrigo?
I've done
You're-
that a lot, dude, because I get scared, dude, and then I cater them, and then the set's just okay, and then sometimes we don't give a fuck, which is rare, and I.
Oh, that
you
was
know,
the question?
Yeah, I get fucking. That's when you really get to it, dude. You know what I mean? That's where you're gonna get that shit you like, that shit that gets you high, that fucking feeling. and it really takes fucking I don't know what
Well,
what
it's
you call it
different
to
here.
do
You
it,
can't
know?
read the audience from
Right.
Yeah.
I'm reading the audience.
Yeah,
literally.
that's other thing too. But as far as stand up,
Let me see that. Can I look at that?
Fuck, dude. But yeah, man, it's a trip, dude. It's a trip. It's not fucking.
But the thing is with
Go
a
for it.
podcast, if he there's already documented footage of him saying it and all that stuff. It's when it comes to it, I've said I'm gonna go like 4 or 5. It's
Yeah.
5 times, 6 times. I can't let it go all the time because it comes to where the fan or the person watching goes, "I've heard this,"
Right.
and,
And-
they
and-
zone out.
and saying that you're talking about like the audience saying that, or that's what they're saying too on.
And they've
social
also
media right now.
sent me messages saying that we need to talk less about stand up because
Everybody talks about stand-up.
Every
Right, right,
podcast
right.
fan listens to stand up nonstop. They've heard every stand up story.
And-
So this says right here. Now
They
it's-
know you're looking now, so they're going to
it
be
saying
like,
It says, why do we switch from Periscope to YouTube? Went from averaging 2K views to less than 100. Great decision, Eric.
okay, well, here's the decision on that.
What's the decision on that?
First off, Periscope doesn't monetize their thing. It took 4 years for you to build that Periscope up to get 2,000 per. It'll take about 6 months to a year to get this.
6 months to a year.
It's worth it. They'll monetize it. Periscope doesn't give you anything. They're just getting your content for free, and everyone's getting it for free.
Well,
And
how many viewers do you have to get on Periscope? I mean, on YouTube to be monetized?
10,000.
10,000
And we'll get
subscribers.
there. We will get there. Yes, we'll get there. I have no doubt.
Okay.
We're at 100 already.
Tight.
Yeah.
101.
There you go.
I was gonna say, and I didn't mean to be a dick or nothing, and say like, you mentioned weed. The weed was good when you were out there, because I've been on the road. I first went on the road with a band like 1996.
What band?
Voodoo Glow Skulls. They're from Riverside, California.
Okay.
I used to work at the record shop there, and we would sometimes cop weed in Ohio, and it was never really that good, dude. But I mean, I know people grow it indoor, or they like ship it in there or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've been spoiled out here in Cali, because it's always been like good bud, and it always has gotten better and whatnot. So yeah, I don't want to sound like a snob.
You know how it is when you're on the road back in the day. Like if you met the right guy,
Yeah.
you would find the good weed. You know what I mean? Because
But good like red hair too, or like bomb ass
like
weed like today.
good, like
Oh,
kind
yeah.
buds.
Okay,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like
The kind.
yeah, shit that you'd pay like 400 an ounce for.
Yeah, yeah,
because
back
if you were
$50
lucky
an-
to find the guy.
Yeah, back then like an ounce would cost like it would be the same price as an ounce of gold back in like the 90s.
Yeah.
$400. And everybody doing it now.
Thanks
made it
for
cheaper.
reminding me.
Yeah, it's a trip on, dude.
But don't you think that
What up, dude?
the pot, they're talking about pot now,
POT.
that it's because it's legal here now, that it's all taxed and it's all...
Can I bring Gino in for this conversation?
Speed weed.
He knows a lot about this stuff. Is that a
Yeah.
good time?
Okay, we'll bring in Gino. Here
Come
comes...
on, Gino.
I guess so. This guy is...
I think that was a good one. I think that was good.
Okay, here
that was
comes
good
Gino.
timing.
Here comes
the
Gino.
producer's actually doing his job
Yeah,
now.
dude, he produced
Casarich.
Gino out of nowhere.
Fucking Eric. though.
Eric, why can't I also just Periscope this and do YouTube? Like do my own Periscope, put my camera up and do that.
We'll Instagram live it.
We'll talk about that later. I'll tell you. I'll explain
Oh,
to you.
damn. It's like he's your girlfriend. We'll talk about this in the car. Shit.
That's what I call a festival relationship.
Yeah, who knows what's... Go ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Gino from Speedweed. Yes.
Thanks for having me. I was gonna defend Eric in the first 5 minutes and say he was being professional, is keeping things on time. That's what a real producer does. But then he blamed the pot, and now I'm off.
Yeah, see, he took a shot at pot, and that he lost Gino on it.
Credibility.
By
out
the way,
door.
most of the people in this room have smoked the pot.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's going just fine.
yeah,
So-
man.
It's good.
Or at least with the rest of the table.
Now, how is pot being legal in California? You can just walk in and get it now, right? How has that affected? Has it affected businesses now that the government's involved, the taxing, or what is the business model changed?
Boy, it's such a long, boring story to talk about that. But I'll try and sum it up as quick as I can.
Okay.
We're not legal. We're recreational here. Until federally we go legal, you're always still actually illegal. However, you are allowed to recreationally have cannabis in California, in the states that have approved it. By regulating it, what we all thought we were voting for legal pot, what you were voting for was highly regulated pot that is now overtaxed, which creates a bigger black market.
Exactly.
So if what you were getting for $100 from your black market guy is now $200 at the store, why are you going to the store? So they do need to analyze that as some time goes on, and hopefully there'll be an adjustment, and they are talking about that. However, regulation is a step forward. It doesn't mean that most people aren't still going to go to the same guy they've been going to for 20 years. We were talking about, Pete. When I'm at the store, I'm giving out joints and smoking them. I love what we have at Speedweed. However, when Pete's out there smoking, I like smoking Pete's weed. So Pete's weed is
Top notch.
top notch. And
What are you puffing on,
thanks.
Pete?
yeah.
Right now I have Gorilla Glue in my pocket, but
I thought it was like a specific strain or something.
I usually have I have an OG that's really good.
Okay.
Hmm.
Super tasty.
And that's how me and Pete connected 10 years ago.
Oh, damn.
I've been at the store about 10 years also, and me and him quickly connected on cannabis, and I think that's something that kind of solidifies a lot of friendships, especially you're able to see that in the comedy community, where I think 10 years ago and even further back there was heavy drinking, and I think that's kind of changed from heavy drinking to more moderate drinking and a lot of cannabis.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people say, like, the comedy being popular. We'll say the Comedy Store, and I would say, podcasting, Uber, because that was a big complaint you heard about the Comedy Store. I can't find parking there. There's comedians to hang out, or even audience members. I can't find parking. So you got Uber, popularity of podcasts, and I would guess cannabis is a unifying endeavor that's brought a lot of people together. And they still drink at the Comedy Store, of course. It's not that, but definitely, I didn't look at it that way.
And I even mean among the comics, like back in the green room, you don't have heavy throwing them back anymore. You see people drinking, but not
Getting totally
yeah.
fucked up, blacked out.
Except Ron White, Ron's the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I started smoking pot back in 2000, it was because I didn't want to drink and drive, and you could smoke and you wouldn't be hungover. You could smoke in the afternoon and have fun, to help with the creative process. Whereas like drinking, you got to watch what you're drinking. You get nauseous, like you're, sick or
Yeah, hangovers
DUI.
fucking suck.
So that was
especially.
that was big for me.
Yeah, and it was interesting what you were saying. I was listening on the couch that you stopped smoking cannabis right now.
Taking a break.
And I think that's good for everyone. I think you need to know what's right for you, and if it's not inspiring you to do better things, then it's taking away from you. So you don't want that. In Eric's case, he smoked a lot of pot and blamed the pot for screwing up. I don't look at pot that way. Pot inspires me. If you're an artist, it makes you do better art. You're a musician, it makes you do better music. For me, I'm a business guy. I run my businesses whether I'm smoking or not. So I'll never blame cannabis for being lazy or anything like that. It personifies who you are. If you're a screw up in life, cannabis is gonna just personify that. If you're dedicated and have work ethic, cannabis personifies that. I mean, you look at Pete when he's cooking. He's high every time he's cooking, and that makes the experience better for everyone, for him, for us watching it. I sit there and I watch his cooking videos like I'm watching the cooking channel, because I'm high and I know he's high, and it makes his meal that much better.
Yeah.
So again, I think cannabis personifies who you are, and if who you are is
Fucking schlub.
Shrub, you're gonna sit on the couch all day. So a lot of previous to where we are now, the people, that stigma came from sitting on the couch being a stoner, because that's the only people who were admitting to it. The people who are lawyers and working.
All the people I started puffing with, because I go back puffing like 20 years. they were like people that wouldn't make a big deal about it.
Sure.
Go, let's go back here, smoke, puff, you know, ritualistic shit. Now that it's all trendy, those are the people that are going to buy that expensive weed. Everybody that was smoking back in the day already has a guy or knows other people. There's a network of people that you meet throughout doing that shit. But definitely believe that shit. How long have you been puffing for, Gino?
Since I was 15. First time I smoked was with a group of friends, of 5 of them. 2 of them I still talk to. One of them became an Alaskan state trooper on that show and bust people up and down for weed in Alaska.
What a dick.
Yeah, I tease him about that.
I started at 30. Like I said, I could never.
But it fucks you up, though? You can't function with it?
It only recently.
Okay.
And I think because I did go pharmaceutical free. I'll be honest, like people know that when I began comedy up in Seattle, I never took any kind of medication or anything when I played baseball or growing up. I wasn't like a hyperactive kid. I was like a typical normal kid. But when I did comedy for the first time, I don't know if I've told this story before, but up in Seattle, I just would be, it was stressful. It was hard. I was hard on myself. And
You have that driven personality, though. That's probably why, too, right?
yeah, I'd be hard. And it would they would laugh when my jokes would bomb, but it didn't feel good. Like I'd be getting laughs, but it didn't feel good. And also I was just constantly like in my head. And I think part of it was that I was out of school. I was on my own. I had this freedom. And I needed something to like chill me out. So up in Seattle, I got on a medication that actually kind of chilled me out a little bit. Luvox took away some of like the obsessive thoughts of just like ruminating, just thinking all the time. And I was able to like do my comedy and not be so hard on myself. So like have a rough set or whatever, but it wouldn't like
Affect you like it was before.
yeah, I wouldn't like be miserable. I'd feel bad maybe, but I wasn't like that bad. And it allowed me to kind of like flourish a little bit, like be myself. And then when I went to New York, I really wasn't on anything, but I was there for like 3 years, and I didn't really take anything. But when I came back to LA in 2000, and I think with just like social media coming out and working all the time, I needed that. I needed something to take the edge off, and that's when I started taking a medication again, and it just kind of like allowed me to be myself a little more and not have that harsh sensitivity, where it would like make me sick almost.
Damn.
I wasn't that bad.
But still, it'll affect you.
Yeah, it took some of the nerves away. Like when I started taking a medication, like when I took Lexapro or Luvox, I said to myself, if I took this when I was playing baseball, I probably would have been a little bit better. Just relaxed is all. But
Yeah, 'cause
maybe
that's what it's for, though, right?
Yeah. But pot does that too.
Well,
it can.
You should consider doing some CBD flower as well, like Tate Fletcher that we were on last time.
Yeah.
He's sober, so he doesn't drink at all. And then recently he wanted to start experimenting with CBD, which doesn't get you high.
Right.
So I did. I started getting him some CBD products and CBD flower to try. And I told him, look, it's very important to me because you're such a good friend to me that your career is on the up and up. I can't be responsible for you screwing up. So you got to tell me that if this CBD is triggering something that won't, that makes you that you shouldn't have it. So in a not exactly a similar way to you, but you should try CBD out to see if that is productive for you instead of detractive. And that might be give you a different feeling than the regular joints that we're smoking at the Comedy Store, and that might work with your medication instead. So when you're ready to try again,
Yeah.
that might be a step to try because again, like with Tate, the CBD has really been a positive for him. Whereas if he was just in the swing of something that could ruin his sobriety, it wouldn't be. But again, the CBD has been very positive for him.
That's what I hear. Like the CBD, like everyone's talking about it. Is you're seeing success stories on it?
Well, what we're talking about with Tate is really just for relaxation and anti-inflammatory, which is probably what we'd be talking about for you as well. However, on the medical side of things, I've seen some real miracles with CBD and THC, especially together. I've treated a lot of people who have cancer, and when I say treated, I'm just getting them products that we know work. I'll share one story just in my own family. My father has prostate cancer, and I got him on something called Jane's Juice, which was produced for a little boy who was sick, which is THCA, which is non-active THC, so you can't get high from it, and CBD. And within 3 months, his prostate cancer, which was measured in PSAs, he was at 4.0. In 3 to 4 months, it went to 0.01 undetectable cancer. So that was such a positive story for me that as people came to me, and a lot of celebrities do, because we'll ask people like Rogan, hey, what do I do? I know my grandmother has cancer. Joe doesn't know what to do, so he asked me to talk to them. So I do, and I've had a lot of positive stories just helping out friends of friends who have cancer. And with this treatment, I've only seen positive effects. I've never had even a neutral effect with it. One of the people we helped was a famous author. I don't want to give his name.
Stephen King.
But he had stage
Steinbeck.
4 brain cancer, and when I got him on the treatment, within I think it was 5 months, his brain tumor had shrank 98%. Now, he passed away after 2 years, but they only gave him 3 months to live. And when he passed away from pneumonia. He was over 70, so that was that's still a positive story for us, because he got 2 years
extension of life,
2 extra years with his family to wrap things up and tell the stories you always wanted to hear. Now you got a few extra months. It's about quality of life. So I certainly recommend it for anyone who has is dealing with health issues, that cannabis does help. But even previous, as a premeditative idea to start taking CBD and THCA will help you in whatever health problems you're gonna develop.
So people take it with antidepressants?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Little cocktail, huh? Quick question, Gino. What's up with CBD? You said that there's CBD flower too. You can smoke it, and because I always thought it was like pills or solves and stuff like that.
No,
I've never taken it.
There's two
I don't know
types.
anything about it,
There's
really.
two types really. You could get hemp-derived CBD, which has no THC at all. It's a similar plant to cannabis, but you can't have any THC in that at all. And then you have CBD flower, which is still has a very small amount of THC, and with science now, they're able to start
No psychoactive effect.
Right. Well, it's not no psychoactive,
Just
but it's such a small
minute.
amount that really you're not stoned at all, even smoking a whole flower joint of CBD flower.
Pete,
Yeah.
now what do you think about the CBD? Is that something that doesn't interest you? That's your enemy?
I don't know much about CBD. I have no problem with it. My neighbor actually owns a CBD company, and he's like a retired lieutenant from the LAPD. So, like everybody's getting on board with CBD. I've seen a lot of videos of people that have had great results with it. Kids with seizures that are, relieved of their symptoms within a minute. When they've been taking all kind of pills, it's not doing shit for them. So
That
seems really good. I mean, while we were talking about this, I'm going home to see my parents this week, and I was like, man, I should take some for my dad. He got bad
Absolutely.
arthritis and shit,
So you could have arthritis and you take the CBT like a tincture,
Yep.
like a pill, and
yep.
that helps with the arthritis. It's not like you rub it in on the spot.
Absolutely. My mom has rheumatoid arthritis, and I just picked up a new shipment for her.
And how's it helping her? What did she say?
So she just is getting on it now.
Okay.
So, but we've had a lot of success with other people with rheumatoid arthritis. Because of the anti-inflammatory, it really helps the joints. So there are two types that I recommend. One is just orally taking the CBD, but the other is a roll-on CBD that I carry that I've had a lot of fighters use after working out and things like that. Joey Diaz uses it after he does jiu-jitsu. It's really, really good on the anti-inflammatory, especially on the joints.
It's a trip, dude, because my folks are from Mexico, and they would even, my mom would say they had like even little old ladies back in the day out there would put it in alcohol and have it there and just rub it on their joints and stuff, like older people and shit.
Yeah.
And and that's, again, I'm sure, Native Americans or whatever it is goes back, what is the first recorded time of cannabis? China, right? It goes all back to that, all old civilizations and shit.
I don't know, but it goes back
far.
very, really far.
Eric
Go
has
for
a
it.
question. Go ahead.
We were talking about this the other night, Brody. CBD. You said CBT. What is CBD? What does
producer.
CBD stand for? And because is it cannabinoid or?
Cannabis body dysmorphia.
But to pronounce it correctly, I would have to read it to you.
But you're seeing everything about CBT. It does work. It's not like a placebo effect.
No, I am positive it's not as a placebo effect. I've just had too many positive results from people who are really sick on it. Now, myself, I've never had a relationship with CBD because, fortunately, I don't have
need
much
it.
pain. But
Didn't just yesterday the feds reclassified it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 4?
What's
They-
that?
CBD.
The CBD.
they
Oh.
did, yeah.
And that for probably helping people with epilepsy, because I heard
Yeah.
that shit with kids. It's like soup because they don't want to do drugs and it's fucking scary. All that shit.
I will say this: Gino's been giving me CBDs from the Comedy Store, and I had this thing on my neck. Do you remember the thing on my neck? Right?
Yeah.
I've been using the CBD on it.
You just
and
rubbing it on it. Like
I just rub
ointment
it,
style?
just like a tea tree oil or something like that, and it works. It actually helps for cuts and things like that.
It's known
It-
to help with
it
cuts.
Well, the
really
thing
does.
is with marijuana, like just by itself, it's like like the whole old school thing is it helps with inflammation, right? And that's what your body when it's swelling, when there's shit wrong with it. You know what I mean?
And it works with depression too.
Absolutely.
There you go, dude. The
It's
whole
a
human body,
miracle.
huh?
It's a miracle drug. Just like aspirin, you take an aspirin and you got a pain in your elbow, it could get rid of that, or you got a headache, it could get rid of that. It just knows where to go. Same thing with cannabis. It's treating your entire body. You have receptors in your body that for cannabis. Well, obviously that's different than other drugs that you don't have specific receptors for. So your body wants that cannabis because it is a key that unlocks
It's funny
positive
you say
health
that.
for you.
Because they even say with like people that are fatter, when you do drug tests about weed, like the chubbier people, it's harder for them to get the weed out because your fat cells like it. They like grab onto it longer and shit.
Yeah.
Trippy, dude.
Yeah.
Trippy. Speed weed.
Rodrigo, do you
What
smoke
up, bro?
before shows or after
Dude,
shows?
like I was gonna ask you about the whole thing, the same thing I was gonna ask you and you, Gino. But I'll ask you guys at the same time. Yeah, I do. And like now I can pretty much handle it. Before, because I used to just puff, go up there like high. Sometimes it would go good. Sometimes it would just be a fucking train wreck.
yeah.
But now at the point where I puff and it's like, and not that I need it. Sometimes we don't get stoned before we go up, and sometimes we puff. But now it's just like boom, I can just go wherever I want. You know what I mean? Opposed to going, and then, oh shit, and like fuck butt, and like, you know what I mean? Like just fucking, like going up too high, and just fucking it up, dude.
Yeah, it's important to know your dose. I mean,
dude.
just like I'm not a comic, but there'd be a big difference between doing one shot before you go on stage or just getting hammered and doing 10 shots. You got to know what's right for you.
Yeah, you had to pick that happy medium for your body. It's like even motherfuckers that are stoned or at work, they never told anybody they're functioning. Some dude will do it at lunch, take a bong rip, and just be fucking obliterated and fuck up at work. You know what I mean?
And now that we're getting technology is progressing, there are things like the vaporizers out there that you could pretty much get high wherever you want, and no one's gonna know. No one's gonna. I mean, you could. I don't recommend it, but you could even smoke in a bathroom in an airplane, and most of the time, the alarm won't go off. So I mean, it's getting to the point where you could pretty much smoke anywhere because of the vaporizers.
Take light hits.
What's micro dosing?
Well, microdosing usually
Mushrooms.
for other drugs like mushrooms. But
half a stem, a little half a button.
but
shit
you
like
could
that.
also do microdosing of CBD as well. However, since the CBD doesn't get you high, you don't really need to microdose it. You could macrodose it, and you're still going to get as much benefits as possible because, again, you could overload your receptors with CBD, and you don't get wacky. So, it's just like you wouldn't know that you took it. I mean, you drink an energy drink, you know you took it.
Yeah.
You take up a bunch of CBD. All you're gonna do is be a little more relaxed. You're not even gonna be out of it like you took a Vicodin or anything like that.
Fucking smash. Gentlemen, it was a pleasure. I want to thank you very much, the Brody Stevens. I have to hit the streets. I got to go downtown.
Rodrigo,
But, thank
good
you so
guy.
Much. We'll do this again, dude.
You were great.
And thank you. Pete, it was a pleasure meeting you. Gino, as always.
Listen to
Keep shining,
Rodrigo. He's on Felipe's podcast.
What's Up Full podcast. I have my own podcast, Yeah Man Podcast. Thank you very much, Eric. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. All you listeners, be cool. Peace.
Yes, professional right there. That's how it's done. Good guy, Rodrigo. Everybody, Rodrigo Torres. Eric, you're back in.
New seat.
So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm having second thoughts, but I feel like when I was on Lex, I was only off any kind of medication for like 6 months. It was because my insurance, I had a switch over in my insurance, and I said, okay, let me go natural. And I was smoking some pot, but then towards the end, not the end, but after like a few months in of not being on anything, I started getting a little bit of anxiety. Like I was feeling like my chest was feeling weird, and I was a little bit of a low mood, and I would smoke the pot, and the pot would make me, it would bring out those feelings, the anxiety and a little bit of depression. So that's why I kind of took a chill on the pot, and then like whenever I do it, because I haven't done it for like a week at a time, then it really hits me. So it's like if I go back to it.
Have you even taken the drops of CBD?
I have some actually.
You should. I did the 2 to 1s, and I just do one in the morning, and it doesn't taste like anything. It tastes like water.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the best part about it. You don't have. It doesn't like. It's not a nasty thing you put in your mouth. It's just literally that. It tastes like water, and it helps you.
But Eric, you knew, you would see me. You knew when I stopped taking my meds, and at first you said like you could tell that I was off my medication, and then I kind of like settled into
Once you tapered off, you definitely got into a nice groove.
But I was fine when I was on them too before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're very you're more organized. Like you're way more organized when you're on your medication.
You noticed that?
Yes, definitely with your stand up. But it didn't affect it. Actually, I thought your stand up stayed the same, consistent. Like it was still very funny. You didn't have a fall off because of either.
Right.
It was just a different form. Like you were more organized with jokes, and when you weren't on them, you were more willing to just go do crowd work and just not.
Right. So you noticed a difference in terms of my organization.
Yes.
Okay. I get it. Yeah, I could feel, I guess I could feel, the Lexapro gives me like just a little bit of a buffer, gives me a little bit of like a cushion that because I am hard on myself. And when I was taking Lexapro, I was smoking pot. So it's not to say, I mean, you could do both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know people who, I mean, are there?
Sure. Yeah. One of my friends that I'm with all the time, she's on Lamictal, I believe.
Yeah, I take that also.
Yeah. So and she's a heavy smoker, and they interact well together. For her, that I've noticed like a real difference in how in her life, with and without cannabis, and with and without Lamictal. So it is possible.
So she smokes pot with the Lamictal.
As much as I do.
And she's on Lamictal.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So you can do it.
Dude, we can go in the parking lot right now.
And
Come
just-
back.
No,
see-
I
see
know,
what
I know,
happens.
but I don't know if I'm ready for that.
I did give you some CBD in the last bag that I brought.
Eric stole it.
Last week.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, all right. Well,
God, that was
I'll-
aggressive, Eric.
I'll bring you some
Yeah,
more.
I did.
I'll bring you some more.
Yeah, I did.
I might have it.
By the way,
some in
thank
bag.
you for that because the 33 or that black bottle,
Yeah.
that was some amazing indica, like really good pot.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Now, Eric,
thank
is it? Are you cutting back on cigarettes? You said you were.
I have
doing-
been actually. I'm down now to less than a pack a day when I don't go to the Comedy Store. But when I go to the Comedy Store, I'm giving more cigarettes out than I'm smoking.
Got to knock that off.
Now, Pete, you're cooking more.
Yeah.
Is that your new thing?
I love to cook. I eat every day.
Right.
So it's a lot easier. It's better, cheaper to cook, and people dig it.
I
My
eat out.
girlfriend loves it.
I eat out every day, and I'm jealous of what he's making every day. He's still eating better than
Stop
I am.
by. I'll make you a plate.
Now, you're cooking, 3 meals a day? Breakfast, lunch,
No,
dinner?
usually breakfast and dinner. Just throw a sandwich together for lunch, or I'll eat, only twice a day a lot of times and have a little late night snack. But
Before I left on my trip, he made me. What did you make? That egg. It was like a poached egg on top of bacon. It was so good.
Eggs Benedict.
Eggs Benedict. It was so
Yeah.
good.
I love Eggs Benedict.
And you're getting a lot of views on your videos?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know what a lot is, but a couple hundred people watch them.
That's
Maybe-
That's a lot.
I mean, for having a
more than we get.
For having a small following, it's all right.
And this is something because you weren't. I mean, you've always cooked, but this is something you've taken to
Yeah, I've
another
always
level.
cooked. I think a year and a half ago, business wasn't going that great, and I always want to go out to dinner and have like a really good meal. And it's like, oh well, I can't afford to go out and spend $100 for dinner all the time.
Right.
So I was like, well, maybe I can learn how to make that stuff. And now I can make stuff that you would pay $50 for in a restaurant for $12.
So you just go to the grocery store,
Go to
pick
the
out a
grocery
couple
store. I
things.
go and look and see like whatever meat looks good or fresh that day, or whatever looks good. And I'll stand there in the store and Google a recipe and figure it out and go home and make it.
That's way more effort than I could ever put in.
That's a lot of effort. Now, what about time? You have it like down to a science, like where you're.
Oh, a lot of the shit's ridiculous. It takes like half a day to make some things. It's a lot of prep and this and that. I got chill stuff and then bring it back out. A lot of it's a pain in the ass. Like
Right.
the other day, I made these little potato and bacon cakes with egg yolk in the
I
middle.
saw that.
And they're like deep fried, so they're crispy on the outside with, soft potatoes and then egg yolk in the middle. It was awesome, but it took like 3 hours to make, and I ate it in 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a lot of effort for,
Those
but,
little-
it's pretty rewarding.
Those little ham croissant things you brought up to the Comedy Store were unreal.
Oh, yeah. Nice. I just bought like a 9-pound ham the other day. I'm planning on making some more and bringing them down.
Please bring some of those.
Yeah.
Up. Yeah, those are awesome.
And let me ask, like, now comedy-wise, do you still want to like do another roast battle, or do you want to still?
I've thought about roast battling. It would have to be the right person, and I don't know. The format now is different. We used to do like 3 rounds. I'd have to have at least 15, 20 jokes to do a roast battle, and now they do 3-joke or 5-joke roast battles, and that can go either way. You can come in there against someone that's a schlub, and if they have someone that's good, write them 3 jokes. It could go against you. At least with 3 rounds, you'd have a chance. And I think it was more challenging too.
It was
Yeah,
way
a lot of times I'd have to battle next Tuesday, and I'd have to have 20 jokes ready
Right.
for you next Tuesday, not 3 months from now.
And also, the environment was a lot more hostile then too.
It's funny to me too, and I'm not like, I guess I am talking shit, but on no one specifically, but it cracks me up when someone has 2 or 3 months to prepare for a battle, and they have to do 3 jokes, and they go up there and they all suck. It's like, how could you not write 3 one-liners in 3 months?
Right.
You're right.
They're running them past their friends and all that shit, and then they come with a bunch of weak shit. And I think the judging is whack.
Yeah, I do too.
But, they give it to people sometimes because that's who needs to win.
Eric, you've done roast battle.
Yeah, you were a judge one night. You undressed me on stage.
I took your clothes off.
No, well,
What are you saying?
You were you roasted me while you were a judge, and you were saying that you look uncomfortable. Take off your jacket. Take off this. And then somebody was like, "Don't quit undressing him, Brody." It was with Cena Amundsen. That was a fun battle, though. It was hard. I had great jokes. My jokes were good.
He's a funny kid.
My performance was very poor
Yeah.
because I was too into my own head about the fact that it's a roast battle. These people are vicious. And
It's a crazy thing to do.
But my jokes were all. I still have my jokes written down at home, but and I read them recently, and I was like, "Oh, those were really good jokes." It was just I had a shit performance.
So Gino, you're up there for every roast battle.
Yeah, I've been sponsoring it since the beginning. One of my biggest disappointments is that Pete isn't up there. I know Pete is one of the best writers in Hollywood.
You are.
He should be writing on a TV show.
I tried to help him with
He,
that.
he should be writing for other comics. I know he's doing a little bit of that.
If
But
anyone's
Weren't you
listening
doing
that wants to hire
Argus
me.
Argus Hamilton's show?
Yeah,
I hired him for that.
I mean, they get good guests on that show.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good guests on that show. I've been doing it every Tuesday since July, I think.
Pete was
so.
actually the first person when I was looking right away. I was looking for writers, and Pete was the first person I thought of to write. Like you were
I
there
appreciate
because,
it.
and then also for Funny You Should Ask, I got him to submit to that too.
They must not have read my packet. It was really good.
Is that now? How is that writing on the Argus Hamilton show at the Comedy Store? It's on Facebook.
Yeah, they put it on Facebook and YouTube, I think. I'm not sure where else it goes, but it's fun. Get together with the guys every Tuesday, try to write some, monologue jokes.
So it's a
Yeah.
once a week get together.
Every Tuesday, live at 8 o'clock. We get there in the afternoon, go over the monologue,
And then you do the show on Tuesday nights.
do a show Tuesday night at 8 o'clock.
I did it. I had fun on it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, you were great.
Can we talk about the basement for a minute?
Sure.
Because I go down there. If I see Argus's show and the other shows down there, and where we're filming, it's really nice. But that room next door, people definitely were killed in the room next door there. That's just
You
like
think so?
like an empty basement. Have you ever? I went and
It
sat
used to
in
be
it.
full of stuff. And
Yeah,
now
Dude, it
it's-
was so creepy when it was full of stuff. It was way creepier than it is now.
Yeah.
There'd be old mattresses down there. There's just like
There were
there's like a
shelves.
storage unit for like everyone's stuff.
There's
Yeah.
some weird rooms in the Comedy Store
Yeah,
down
is.
there. The podcast studios,
Upstairs,
kind
too.
of.
They're gonna open up all those rooms now, though. I heard they're gonna make the outside rooms are gonna be Twitch studios, and then
Yeah, I mean they're smart. They're using every inch of space they have because you see we're stacked up every day, sold out every room. Everything they're doing is getting traction. So
Yep.
why are you gonna have a bunch of old chairs in a room where you could be producing content?
yeah,
So they're downstairs in the podcast studio.
they're gonna make those. The side rooms where Polly's big poster for the store is.
Yeah.
They're gonna make those two rooms Twitch rooms. I think it's gonna be one big Twitch room, and then the front room's gonna be the live podcasting room. Isn't that right?
I'm not sure what their plans are. With
That's
the
what
side.
I
know
heard.
they cleared all that shit out though. So
I just heard that from one of the Twitch people that's what they were doing.
it's crazy. People get paid to play video games. Isn't
Yeah,
that crazy.
But Sarah and Samia, and they want you on too, is they want to have you on their
Girl party.
girl party, which is actually it's fun. I've watched it. It's fun part. It's like a fun little podcast idea.
And they do it
Twitch.
down there in the basement
They
there?
play with comedians. That
I was
come
joking
on.
about the girl party. They'll have you on the regular one probably.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll have you on the girl party on Friday night. I don't know when it's coming up. I told them I'd get with you about it. But they go down there. They have 4 really beautiful girls that love video games their whole life.
Sometimes they don't even know how to play video games. They're just hot.
Yeah,
And I think that that's probably how they
that's a good.
also get viewers.
That's a good.
I know
angle.
Sarah's really good at video games, though.
Sarah and Samia both have been video game nerds before this. I remember they would always talk about the nerdiest shit.
I took a 10-year break from video games. I went from the first Red Dead Redemption was the last video game I played. Then I didn't play any again until this new one came out. And then I broke down and bought the Xbox One for it. And then I also realized once I was done playing that video games probably aren't for me anymore. I can't get all the fingers
Shit.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yesterday, we were doing the Argus show, and in between the pitch and the show, Madonia and I were in the basement. And they have the PS4 down there for the Twitch show. And we couldn't figure out how to get it going. We were just trying to play me fight him in a simple, 2-player fighting game. We couldn't get it set up to even play.
That's that new.
We had to call people in.
That's the new Soul Calibur, and it's all set up. It's set up ass backwards. It's so hard to get in.
I think they were broadcasting us too, which was ridiculous. See us just not knowing what to do,
Do you think they're just gonna do you think the Comedy Store? I know we're talking about comedy. Are they just gonna keep adding shows? Like I went to the Improv last night, and the Improv was empty.
Well, what's going to happen?
But they had great lineups.
What's going to happen when the alcohol goes up to 4 a.m.?
They canceled that though.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, the store is just like
They're gonna start having 2 p.m. Sunday shows, brunch or something. They could totally do that and sell it out.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't.
it's turned into like Universal Studios. It's like
People are there in the daytime coming to buy merch. They just show up to buy T-shirts. That's crazy.
who is it Rogan has a big effect, obviously, right? Rogan, D'Elia,
I mean,
Sebastian.
all of
everybody.
them.
Everybody blew up, and it's funny. 9 years ago, we're D'Elia's still cool with me, but he'd do dumb Vine videos with me and shoot, and those guys are so big now.
Right.
So many people from the store have blown up, and it's been fun to watch them go from barely getting spots or just getting past to being
Playing theaters all
huge.
over the country.
Yeah. So Sebastian, get the fuck out of here.
sold out
crazy.
Madison Square Garden 4 nights.
And
Yeah,
plus
it's
you
like
never,
the most tickets ever sold there.
another valuable thing, and Britain's made that very powerful online, is that they have people pop in at any moment, and Britain captures that for them to see. Hey, maybe Chappelle pops in. Or maybe,
Oh yeah, like I've seen
So-
Chappelle so many times, I don't even care.
yeah.
You know, like we're hanging out, someone will be like, "Oh, Chappelle's here." And you're like, "Okay, well, I'm talking to my buddy smoking this joint."
Right.
You
Who
know what I mean?
happens,
So
and
many
the buddy
times.
you're smoking a joint with happens to be Ron White.
Or Dave Chappelle, like the other night, whatever. I don't want to tell dumb stories, but it's cool to be sitting back there and they'll be like, "Oh, Dave Chappelle wants to know who's got the best weed here. Come over here," or whatever. That's fucking. Where else you get to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Brenton does a great job with the social media, you know, for all things comedy and for the Comedy Store.
Yeah, they're on it, taking
Yeah.
pics of every comic when they go up, doing the walkthrough, showing every room's stacked up. You know.
I mean, I think that it's competitive. It's hard, you know. It's like stresses me out a little bit. Like, you know, it's like you got to bring your A game every time. It seems like, and then you're hoping to get spots. You're, you know, driving in. Everyone's got these fancy cars. It's a little bit of a. I'm not saying it's bad for morale. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on.
Can you imagine the kids that are just starting, trying to make it, or people that have been in the open mic season for a while? You know, now you go there's 150, 200 people sign up for the open mic on
192
Monday.
last week. Yeah.
192 people for 15 spots.
And
And
there
they're
used
all-
to be 2 open mics, Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
So now there's only 1.
That many for the
192.
Monday friends and family.
Luke,
Luke
Schwartz,
92.
Luke Schwartz posted a thing.
He does it like every week. He's like, "Yeah, please, everyone, move to LA and do comedy. There's plenty of room."
192 last week.
For
Yeah,
15 spots.
Is there a lack of spots at the rest? I'm a Comedy Store guy.
You
so-
want to be on stage at the Comedy Store. Like
There's
if you're
so
lucky
little
enough to be
spots.
starting and like maybe someone sees you. No one's gonna see you at Echoes or at some coffee shop or wherever. There's not gonna be a, you know.
But why not? Like, why not? I mean, you can go to Sycamore Tavern. You
I
can
go to
go.
all
No,
of
you
them.
can go and do all those mics, and that's what you should do to get
Mm-hmm.
your shit down. But like, if you think you're good and you want like maybe someone will see you that could help your career or be like, "Hey, that guy's funny." Like,
should
they're not
definitely
gonna
be
see
up at
you
the
at
store.
the fucking
Yeah.
coffee shop.
But
But if
you
you're
should
at the
be
store,
at the
there's a
Improv, the
chance.
store, or the Laugh Factory. But the store's number 1.
Or Largo.
Largo, yeah. Largo's, I heard a lot of people get seen there. So, yeah.
But I've seen and dumb shit like a stupid story. Like one time, Ron White was on Tony's show on Monday, and some kid came up there and did good during his 60 seconds.
Right.
And Ron was like, "Hey, why don't you come open up for me at Morongo next week or something like that?" And gave the kid a 10-minute opening spot. The kid bombed. Ron was like telling me about it on the course one day that the kid
That's
bombed and it
hilarious.
sucked. But he still like the kid got the opportunity, and if that kid would have went up there and crushed that 10 minutes,
Never know.
could have been the opportunity of a lifetime. You go from being nothing, got 60 seconds, you go kill your 10 minutes, and now you got a fucking gig. That's
So
crazy.
what do you think? I mean, are these new comedians? I know we're talking about comedy, but are these kids funny? Are they fun? I mean,
There's some funny ones. This new kid that I've been watching with Tony, he's really weird, but he's got a good sense of humor.
I don't like him.
He's just got a good sense of
William?
humor when it comes. Yeah, his like weird sense of humor. I don't particularly like him like he would be a best friend of mine, but I've seen some funny moments where
Yeah,
he's
he's probably
used his
okay.
weird,
I'm just being a dick.
where he's used his weird humor to be funny, and I like it. And I'm like with Don Barris and a couple other people. And if you can play with Don Barris late night, you already kind of won me over a little bit.
So late night is still kind of the same thing. Like after midnight, the Comedy Store is
Pretty
still
much
the
the
Comedy
same,
Store.
yeah.
It's like there's a point where
They don't let us stay till 5 in the morning.
which
But
has
that's,
happened with Chappelle.
But
Oh, well,
the best.
that's different. It used to be like, we'd be doing dumb shit, playing poker in the back. Don would be on stage. We'd pull the drape over the front thing so that people couldn't see in.
Right. But the Don stuff, people, that's still like every night. That's fun to do. You're getting your lines in, messing around with Don, and doing the band occasionally. We used to do. That's the other thing. We used to play the band every night,
Every night.
and
Yeah,
really
the
got good at
BKO,
it.
The BBO.
BBO, BKO,
I
and
played
then
a lot with Brody. Me and Brody.
I have
did
a
some
bunch of
double chair
pictures of you
drumming.
from back in 2012 or 2013.
But those were the kind of nights that kept the Comedy Store going. Those late night. I think Don doing the late night stuff gave those guys an opportunity to mess around. Yeah, maybe you don't get a spot, but you can mess around with Don. And
Well, I told Don that the other night is that I am so much funnier because of that, hanging out with him and doing those late night things, because it's taught me to be funny off the cuff and just to go ahead and just say something and you're going to be funny and get that room to laugh. And that's so valuable. It's more valuable than an open mic. Way more valuable than an open mic. Because if you can learn to be funny with Don, You can be funny with any environment.
Yeah.
So could I interject here something about Don? I watch Don's show a lot, and obviously his late night show, he uses a lot of the same tactics to tell his stories to get the reaction from the crowd. So in a similar situation, we're talking about Brody here. He's telling the story, he's getting a reaction from the crowd, but he's telling the same story. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. They're both brilliant at that.
Yeah. So again, maybe sometimes Brody telling the same story is not terrible.
Thank you, Gino.
Good callback.
Yeah, they want to hear the same story.
Speaking of
sometimes.
good plug, Don Barris is on the podcast next week.
Don Barris, Jimmy Kimmel Live. I watched him yesterday. I went to the taping and does a great job there.
Waiting to hear back from David Arquette, but he's probably a go too.
Enjoy
If
that.
he's in town,
Now,
he's here.
where's Hormoz?
Hormoz is just now canceling. He said he's stuck in traffic, and he says, "Can I reschedule?"
Blacklisted.
And
People just cancel.
Sorry, love you, bro.
No, that's okay.
Dude, why is your text so big? Are you blind?
I am actually.
Jesus. You could probably read it from over
So we've
there.
had 2 cancellations today.
Yeah.
What does that say about me?
Dude, I showed up. I'm
Well,
here for you, bro.
In all fairness, Kurt had to go get paid to be with Aubrey Plaza to work on this award show, so that's not really
I get
against you. Hormoz, I think you should be upset with him right now. Be like, hey man, I wasn't important enough for you to be here earlier, so you didn't get stuck in traffic.
But it's okay. I thought it was a good podcast today. It was interesting.
No, it was great. I enjoyed it.
It wasn't. We learned about Pete. We learned about CBD. Rodrigo was good. We had some interactions with Eric. I mean, it's about doing content.
Yeah.
The show is growing. I'm growing. We're developing.
They had a question for Gino on here.
Okay.
They wanted to know, is it cool to drink CBD with like alcoholic beverages and
Is it cool? You're cool.
Yeah, man.
No, the
CBD
law
and other foods?
The
also.
law won't allow you to. Okay. So I thought we were talking about 2 different things. The law doesn't allow you to mix them.
Okay.
You can't make a CBD or THC with alcohol. The ATF controls alcohol. And has nothing to do with cannabis. You can't mix the two in a product. For yourself, you could drink alcohol and have as much CBD as you want, and they will not interact negatively. So if you're taking CBD and drinking, you're just getting drunk. It's not gonna enhance that your drunkenness or take away from it. Did I answer the question? What was the thing about foods?
Yeah, they just want to know if you can put it in foods too, and which you can. I mean, that's pretty obvious. If you can put it in the drink, you can put it in foods.
You can put it in foods. Again, on a product level, here in California, there's a lot of regulations on which type of foods you could put it in and what you can't. So they're trying to move a lot more towards just CBD pills and bombs that you rub on your skin and get away from the foods. But there's certainly conspiracy theories about why they would do that, and of course, it's who's paying who to get certain products put on a shelf or taken off a shelf.
Is there a lot of like fake products out there that say they have CBD in them but don't have anything in them?
Well, so the regulation on CBD in California is if it's going to be sold in a dispensary, it has to be derived as a full spectrum CBD from a THC plant, not a hemp plant. So if they do that, that gets tested under the regulation of California. So you know what's in there. Now the regulation of just CBD from hemp is just coming along right now. There's no governing body in California just looking at hemp. So a lot of people are worried that there's a lot of placebo effect on the hemp side of CBD. Again, I know just from experience that the full spectrum CBD and THC works really well when we're talking about health matters. Hemp CBD, I haven't had much experience personally with it. Again, because when I'm typically dealing with people with health issues, they're dealing with heavy health issues like cancer, epilepsy, things like that, where they need the full spectrum. I think hemp CBD is good for someone who is interested in a step before moving towards THC and full spectrum CBD. It's good, again, anti-inflammatory mainly.
I'm gonna keep with it. I'm gonna keep with the CBD. I'm not saying no to it, but I can use it with regular medication.
100%.
Mix it up. I'm going to
How,
do
much,
that.
how much do you think you should use per day, like morning, night, noon?
You should always figure out your own dosage. However, with what I gave you, I believe I gave you some pills that were 50 milligrams. You could take one a day, and that's what I'd recommend you start with to see how you feel.
Do I have some in this packet?
I'm not sure if you do, but I probably have some with me. So
Okay. I'm gonna
make
try
sure,
that.
Sure that I'll get it to you.
And that will help with some anxiety and depression. Lift my spirits.
It should, and I would say talk to me about it, and let's see how it goes for a week's time. And if it is a benefit for you, then let's get you more. If
and it's
not,
natural, so it's not gonna. There's no downside.
the only downside is gonna be what you allow in your mind to believe. So if you think that it's starting to hurt you, it maybe, again, as almost a placebo, you could think it's hurting you. But I know medically you can't. So you're going to be fine taking your medication and CBD.
Got it. Pete C., great having you here.
It's great being here, bro.
This guy is cooking. This guy understands pot. This
Police
guy
chases.
understands writing jokes. This guy understands being on the roast battle. This guy helped the Comedy Store stay afloat. You were one of the guys that was the bridge to where it is now.
And my liquor tab definitely paid one of the door guys' salary. I guarantee that.
There you go.
What about the connection that both of y'all enjoy police chases, and you guys both kind of like document that? You
Oh
both-
yeah, yeah. Who
Who
doesn't
like
it?
a good police
No, but
chase,
it's
right?
the fact that you guys are the two. Like I see online that I could actually document them online. Like I know when a police chase is happening because either you're saying it or you're saying it.
There you go.
Good stuff.
Pete's active. Let that be an inspiration to you. This guy came out here from Ohio and made something of himself and continues to grow and develop, and it's nice to see. And he works hard. He's a hard worker. He's professional, mature, and proud to say that he's a friend.
Hey,
It's good to
And
have you as a friend, bro.
and
I miss you stopping by. You got to come by.
I do need to
soon.
stop by. I did
Even
mention
if you're not
that.
smoking the weed.
Even if I'm not smoking
There's
the
still
weed,
room
stop
on the
by,
couch for you.
Stop by for food
Yeah.
and
it's a pet Sirius.
yeah, the cat.
I love
Exactly.
Sirius. What a cool cat.
Yeah.
Isn't
Like
it
the best.
Siri?
Sirius Black.
There you go, Sirius Black. And Eric, good job today.
Thank you.
We'll have a meeting after, and we'll see what the deal is with the YouTube.
Did you want to play a game today? Are you feeling like playing a game?
No,
Like
not
maybe
really.
Maybe Sound Effects Theater.
I don't really have it set up, but that's okay. I think we're good. I think we had.
Okay.
I think we had a good
Okay.
podcast. I think it
Fair enough.
was. We learned about CBD. We learned about Rodrigo. We learned about Pete. I think Pete shined. I want to get more. We got off to a bad start. You threw it off, but you know what, Eric? That's okay. We learned.
Yeah.
Gino shined. I got
Excellent.
through it.
Yeah. Thank you, Gino from LA Speedweed.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And what are they saying in YouTube?
LOL. Friend Fest. Guest. Great episode. Great guest by Buddy C.
Oh, really?
That's the guy
Pretty
that
much
was
all.
here.
Yeah.
It's
pretty
all
much-
been positive.
Pretty much all the comments are Buddy C.
Are you serious?
No, we got Eric Cohen, and
What did
Yeah.
Eric say?
Eric Cohen said, "Thanks, Eric."
There you go. He's reaching out.
Thanking himself.
CBD grenades.
There you
Um,
go. Anything you want to promote?
We pushed through, and it was a great podcast.
I'm going to be
That's
on
it.
a show called Pimp My Grow coming out later this year.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So you should check that out. It's like they're coming through and redoing my whole operation. It's going to be pretty cool.
Your grill?
My grow.
Oh, Pimp Your Grow.
Yeah.
We'll look for that. Thank you. That's cool.
I
Pete,
can't wait for them to pimp it, and because of the weed that's going to come out, it's going to be
Yeah, me too.
amazing.
you could see me, Brody. I'll be in Glendale, Arizona at Stir Crazy Comedy Club, February 28th through March 2nd. So that's coming up in a few weeks. I'll be out there. And then Seattle on, I believe, the 15th and 16th. Friday, Saturday, Seattle, Laughs Comedy Club. And then also Lincoln, Nebraska in early April. I'll find out the dates on that. So I have some road gigs coming up. You can always find me at the Comedy Store, Long Beach Laugh Factory, Improv, Squat Melt with Howard Kramer,
The dojo.
the Dojo,
Sycamore
Tavern, Also, of course, Festival of Friendship on All Things Comedy. Gino has Speedweed.
Speedweed.com.
Speedweed.com. Check it out. You can just tell that Gino knows what he's talking about. You know, this is something we're going to go back. If you want to learn about CBD, or you want somebody to understand that this would be the podcast, today's podcast, to direct them to. Give them a link to today's podcast, and they will walk away knowing everything they need to know about CBD.
Feeling more secure using it.
Feeling more secure using it. And that's what we had today. Rodrigo was a great guest. Rodrigo Torres, you can see him going on the road with Felipe Esparza. And Emma did great. This is All Things Comedy. And the show will continue to grow. It's content. I do it. Each week is different. Some are zany. Some are silly. Some are serious. Some are informative. Some have some comedy. I think today was a good show. And
Can I add a few things?
Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so if you are watching, then you're already subscribed to the YouTube channel. We'd like you to share it. Go ahead and share it through all networks, social networks, and iTunes. Go on iTunes and also subscribe to the iTunes. And Valley Vibes, everything Brody Stevens. You can go check all that stuff out. And always go to the Dojo and Sycamore Tavern on Sunset Boulevard to find us.
Because we're working it out.
Yeah.
We are working it
You'll
out.
see us doing open mic there. Brody did an open mic the other night.
I did an open mic.
And it was fun, right?
Yeah, I just to get up on stage and just, again, like, look, the Comedy Store, you get late night spots. If I've got an earlier opportunity, I'll go pop in. I did it last night at the Dojo, got some work in. And then also I do Howard Kramer's show, Squat Melt. We do that outside.
We have Bones and Buddy Saturday, too.
Bones and Buddy. Eric is involved with that. That's a popular show. So, yes, the Comedy Store is great, but there's plenty of other shows to get on and do your thing at and grow and work on your craft. So I want to say thank you very much to our guests. Thank you very much to Burbank, California, All Things Comedy. My name is Stephen Brody Stevens. You've been listening to the Festival of Friendship. Yes!